We'll be starting soon. Make sure you have your cameras on. This is being live streamed right now. Last head count is Central Credit here?
Yes, we're here.
All right. Final announcements. We will be going in the order announced in the general chat. And we have enabled screen sharing. You have 5 minutes to pitch and 5 minutes for Q&A from the judges. Good luck, everyone.
Just wanted to say good luck to everybody. You know, it's kind of quiet in here. Don't want it to be too scary out there. It's not, so best of luck. You guys will be fine.
All right. Starting.
Hey everyone, I'm Maxwell, one of your co-directors for Forge 2020. We've had a great event so far. We've heard amazing speeches from Lucy Guo and Peter Pekarczyk, as well as a fantastic VC panel. Startups and participants had the opportunity to network with Glimpse and GatherTown, as well as receive world-class mentoring from industry professionals.
Hi everyone, David again. Thanks to our staff and you, the participants, we've been able to make this Forge just as exciting and impactful as always. We're going to be live streaming the pitching event, so if you're able, please keep your cameras on to keep the excitement going.
Hi everyone, in case you missed me yesterday, I'm Michael, the treasurer of Founders. We just wanted to give another special thanks to our two sponsors, Think Chicago and Open Scout, as well as our mentors, judges, panelists, and speakers for taking the time out of their weekend to help Forge and its mission.
Today, we kicked off the event hearing about some of the amazing experiences from our underrepresented Founders panel. Then we jumped straight into the pitching competition, hearing from over 20 of the nation's top collegiate startups. Finally, you all are going to be hearing from the best of the best. We're going to be having 6 of the competition's top startups pitching for over $3,000 in total prizes, and to impress our industry-leading connections here at Forge. Without further ado, let the pitching begin.
All right, Jem, you're up.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for that intro. All right, I'm sure everybody in this Zoom call who's a woman, or if you know a woman, or even just watching this as a woman, can think of the female checklist. You're walking to your car, you grab your keys. They go between your fingers so you have a weapon. You check under your car. You make sure that nobody's around you. You check out that guy who's near you when you're walking, make sure that everything's okay. You make sure that your friend has your location when you go on that Tinder date. You have this whole checklist of things that you need to do just for basic safety. And it's not enjoyable, but unfortunately, it's a reality of our world. There's a lot of uncertainty about situations as well. They aren't always binary. It's not always, I am in an emergency or I'm completely fine. Sometimes it's, I know that something's a little bit off, but it's not quite 911 level yet. As somebody who's a survivor of sexual assault, I've been in a lot of these situations and wanted to have something on me that just gave me a little bit of comfort in these times. And I started looking at different things that were available on the market right now. There were a lot of different options. Most of them just escalated situations. They added a lot of pressure. There were loud sirens, something that just would make an attacker, somebody who's actually trying to cause an issue, just try harder to get me away from whatever the device was. And a lot of them that were a little bit more discreet were things that I wouldn't actually wear. It was stuff that if I was trying to go to the thrift shop and buy an outfit that looked like my grandma, I would pick that out. And unfortunately, there's just nothing that really seemed to fit what I, as a college student, would actually use on a day-to-day basis. My name is Meg Ritchie. I'm a junior at Stanford University, majoring in symbolic systems and minoring in economics.
And I'm Alice. I'm the CTO and co-founder of GEM and a freshman studying computer science at Berkeley. So GEM is a venture where we're creating wearable technology that is both discrete and customizable for personal safety. During our time in the Mozilla MVP lab, we built out our first prototype, which is an iOS and watch app that allows users to call for help from a click of their watch. This allows users to quickly send an informed text message with their full name, their location data, as well as their situation, whether non-emergency or emergency, to a trusted contact that they specify. So if 911 is not something you feel safe with, you can specify your own emergency contact. This sort of customizability is something that we really want to highlight. And that's why we're also moving towards building a physical prototype, which is a Bluetooth earring that will allow users to use that to call for help instead of a watch, allowing for greater customizability as well as affordability. For this Bluetooth device, we currently have a provisional patent, and we're trying to build it out so there's even more customizability. For example, your friend can buzz you saying, "Are you okay?" And a quick click back can send the message, "I'm okay."
As Alice was saying, a lot of this is really focused on making something that's affordable, accessible, and easy for somebody to use, while also not feeling like something that you have to wear. So for example, as Alice was talking about customizability, we're focusing on this Bluetooth stud that can actually be converted into a dangly earring using any dangle component with a small loop at the top. You just slide it through. So that way, if you're going from, again, college student, you're going to a frat party, you might not want to wear those dangly earrings. You have your simple stud, but you're going to pitch at a really impressive competition and you can easily slide that dangle component in. Or if you want to wear silver that day, easily converts to a silver earring so that you can just be ready for whatever the situation is. Because the reality is that there would not be a market for most shoes if women were not okay with making certain decisions like choosing the stylish option over the comfortable option. And that's the reality of a lot of what's on the market right now. These devices have a lot of really great intentions, but just don't quite hit the mark as far as being customizable to what women want, as well as having more features, not just having the 911 or the I'm safe option. As Alice mentioned before, let's say your friend tells you, "Hey, I'm going on a date. I'll text you at 10:30, tell you how it was." It's now 11 o'clock. You don't know if the date just went really, really well. They're watching a movie, all is well, or she could be in a really bad situation. And having the cop show up while there's the movie time is a little bit of an awkward situation. So being able to just vibrate the earring once, "Hey, are you okay? I haven't heard from you," implied in just a small vibration, and being able to click back once, "Yep, I'm all good, just ran over." And having these different options that are so discreet, it doesn't escalate the situation. Your Tinder date says something that doesn't quite sit right. This isn't alarming. This doesn't let anybody know that you're calling for help. However, with just a couple quick clicks, you can let somebody know exactly where you are, what type of situation it is, and that you need help. And so it's truly something that essentially is a glorified button. So we're able to get it done pretty quickly and efficiently as far as actually producing things, but it actually has a huge impact and allows for a lot more women to feel safe in what they do. Thank you so much for your time.
Super cool. I'm going to start just because we don't have a ton of time with you guys. Great idea. I've been wanting to get something for my wife for a really long time now. She's run into similar situations like that where she didn't feel safe, and we live in the city of Chicago, so see a lot of utilities for something like that. So I actually have researched a lot of different kinds of women's safety devices before, and so kind of nice to see you guys doing something new over here. So just so I understand, it's an app on the Apple Watch where you have to download it, you have to presumably pay a recurring fee for it. It shows up on the watch face of your Apple Watch all the time, and depending on which hemisphere of the watch face you click, then it sounds out particular notifications, right? Is that correct?
There are two aspects. In order to actually test the app that Alice built, we did the watch component. That way we could use the watch technology and not build our own hardware to start out for the MVP. And so the watch face itself, I'll let Alice get a little bit more technical, but it is just two hemispheres, non-emergency and emergency, but the earring itself is something that's separate. And so that's a Bluetooth button disguised as a stud earring that can then be converted into dangly earrings or worn as a simple stud. Alice, would you like to expand?
Yeah, I think Meg put it perfectly. So our watch app was designed to test our iOS app and allow users to test out this concept. So we launched it on TestFlight and are in a round of closed beta testing. And so our final goal is to make a Bluetooth earring that will do the same thing as the watch. So users can choose between the watch if they can afford it or a more affordable Bluetooth device that will do the same thing.
Right, but with the Bluetooth earring, if you press a button, somebody gets notified.
Yes, different sequences of clicks and holds will do different functions, whether it's texting a non-emergency number or calling for emergency help with different sequences. And the really great thing about having both the watch and the earring is it allows a lot of gender inclusivity, or even if you don't have your ears pierced. Actually, our lead hardware engineer does drag. He is super into drag and super into designing earrings for different drag costumes. And so he was like, yeah, even though I don't have my ears pierced, I'd love to eventually turn this into a clip-on version also, because even though I don't wear earrings on the regular, when I'm in drag, I'm more likely to be affected by different forms of hate and violence. And so this would be cool to even have as a drag earring. And as well as some of our Apple Watch testers were also men. And they said that would be really helpful for like running in the city at night in case of like being mugged or something like that.
What is the user traction so far like, or user feedback?
So typically when we start to say the hook to our pitch, most women are like, yes, this has happened to me. This was my day yesterday. This happened last week. And it's an unfortunate reality of our world, but it is something that resonates with a lot of women. So overwhelmingly, we've gotten really positive feedback. As far as the users, everybody has loved the concept. We've had a couple of different like format tweaks and things like that, just a couple minor things that we've been working on fixing. But other than that, as far as the concept itself, people really love it. And it's the reality that a lot of women will make choices based off of what's stylish and matches their outfit over what's necessarily functional. And that's also what we've put a lot of effort into focusing on with what we've created. Not to call out any other companies that have tried to do similar things, but they're pretty big, they're bulky. If you have somebody who's smaller, it just doesn't look right. There's no customization, and you have to wear the same exact bulky item every single day, which is just not what women tend to do. So a lot of these companies have really great ideas, but they're narrowing their market by making them not actually focused on how women function.
And what are the economics? How do they look like?
I'm sorry, so you're talking about like the business model?
Mm-hmm.
So essentially there are a couple different aspects. We really want to focus on accessibility. And so there's obviously a certain amount of privilege that comes with having an Apple Watch. However, that app is free. So we're working on making it more accessible with the Bluetooth earring, because that way we can actually control the price. We obviously don't control the price of owning an Apple Watch. However, with the Bluetooth earring, we've focused a lot on different models for like, you buy it and you refer your friends. So that's obviously going to be a certain market, but also partnering with companies. So for example, a lot of the large tech companies will pay for Ubers if you leave past a certain time. We'll focus on other safety initiatives. And so we've mapped out a couple different programs that we could partner with large companies that they could release out to their employees, that's the word, release out to their employees with different added safety features that the company would pay for a certain subscription for a certain amount of employee users, and that would go to the employees for free, as well as focusing on different finishes and essentially like styles for the earring. So having cheaper materials for a lower cost option that's hopefully more affordable, and then also having nicer options. So if you were willing to pay for the more expensive finish, that would be something that you could do as well, or you could opt for the cheaper option.
All right. Thank you very much. That's our time for GEM. Would now like to invite College Thrifts to begin their presentation.
Perfect. Can you see my screen? Perfect. So,
Yes.
perfect. Hi, everyone. My name is Patricia Garcia, and I'm currently a senior at Florida International University in Miami, Florida, pitching in the middle of a tropical storm. So throughout my time at the undergraduate level, I've had the opportunity of experiencing distinct college campuses and cultures as an undergraduate researcher, from working in labs at MIT and UC Berkeley to participating in hackathons at Harvard, Stanford, and the University of Miami. I've realized that there's one thing that these institutions of higher education all have in common: high-priced college gear. Walk into any bookstore, no matter where in the nation, and you'll be sure to spot the $60 crew neck besides the $50 sweatpants and the $35 tee. It's the unfortunate reality that students across the nation cannot afford to pay these prices. With the rising cost of tuition, room and board, and other costs associated with the college experience, this is simply unreasonable. Students have expressed the need for a platform that allows them to buy and sell gently used college merch at a fraction of the high bookstore prices. And that's why I founded College Thrifts. Think Tinder for college merch. College Thrifts is a peer-to-peer marketplace for students and alumni to buy and sell their gently used college merchandise. Not only are we supporting 3 United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, but we're also including some unique features such as shop for scholarships, filter by college or university, receive notifications when specific items are posted, and weekly school discounts. For example, if next week the University of Miami items are for sale, you get 10% off that specific school, and it would vary by week. And you may be wondering, how are we different than some of our competitors like Poshmark or Mercari? We're more than that. We're also a networking and community platform where we're creating lasting connections among students and alumni. So say an alumni from Tulane University is selling their gear and a student from Tulane is currently there and would want to purchase it. They're forming these connections over that, where these students that are buying this gear could potentially be some potential interns for this individual's company, or just another form of mentorship that is essential for many low-income and first-generation students. And in order to validate this idea, we surveyed over 1,000 students across the nation, and 98% of them said that wearing college-branded gear would positively enhance their college experience, and 85% said that the university apparel or items in the bookstore was simply unaffordable. The research has shown, or other research has shown, that wearing college gear and college merch automatically increases a student's performance in the classroom and engagement in extracurricular activities. So when students can't afford this, it's reflected in that. And our business model is quite straightforward. So you'd snap a photo of the item that you're selling, select the institution it belongs to. You'd package the item if the item is, let's say, more than a 20-mile radius for the sense of sustainability. If it's within your own college campus, you can go ahead and drop it off. And once the item has been scanned as delivered or marked as delivered by the post office, you get paid. And our customers pretty much consist of high school seniors, college students, and college alumni, each of them having different reasons to buy and sell on what would be our future application. As per the total addressable market, the resale market is booming. It was in 2018 about $24 billion, and it's expected to grow to over $50 billion in 2023. As for how we would generate our revenue, there would be no listing fee, but we'd take 20% of every sale, where 15% would go towards operations and 5% going towards institutional scholarships. We also hope to focus on some targeted advertisements, such as banner ads with organizations such as Michelle Obama's Reach Higher campaign and Common App, which are focused at getting students into college and retaining them. And here are some of the things students have been saying on our Instagram prototype, which I'll share a little bit later. Our go-to-market strategy will consist of our campus ambassador program, influencer marketing, and geofence advertising. And you may be wondering, how do we know that this works? So we created an Instagram prototype in May of 2019, selling my personal college gear. And once COVID hit, we decided to allow others to sell. So to date, there's over 250 schools represented, including historically Black colleges and universities and Hispanic serving institutions such as my FIU, where I go to school, and we have over 4,000 followers thus far. To date, we've raised over $20,000 through pitch competitions, and here are some of our recent wins. And our goal at College Thrifts is to foster the sense of inclusivity, spark sustainable consumption behavior, and make college campuses a better place. Our advisors consist of people with PhDs, MBAs, and founders themselves. with a broad range of knowledge in various areas. My name is Patricia Garcia. I'm a Latina and proud founder on track to graduate from FIU now in the spring. Thank you.
Amazing. Thanks, Patricia. I just kind of want to ask a little bit more about kind of what separates you from competitors that do have large market and followers on their sites as well. This mentorship piece that you touched on, how do you like facilitate that to make sure that this is also a core piece of your either application or right now Instagram?
Sure. So right now in the Instagram, that is currently not in the works, but that's how it actually started. So it happened to be a student from Florida Atlantic University purchased an item, and the seller happened to assume that this was an incoming freshman, and she left a note in the package saying, "Hope you enjoy your time at FAU. If you ever need anything, please reach out." So that's where the idea kind of started out. We noticed that these individuals were making these connections far beyond just, I just bought a hoodie for $20 that would have cost me $60 in the bookstore. So we're hoping to take that same platform or that idea we got through the Instagram prototype and implement it into the application in such a way where these sellers or the alumni, let's say, who are selling it would be able to take off, yes, I'm open to mentorship, yes, or to mentor these students, I'm looking for interns, and we're going to form those connections as such, where it's more than just I'm saving money and I'm being sustainable. I am making these connections, which are going to be meaningful in the long run.
Awesome. And then if you could just touch a little bit too on like your growth plan from transitioning from your Instagram to your platform and how to kind of transition your users to that as well.
Yeah, so right now we've been growing our email list, and right now with our 4,000 followers on our Instagram platform, we've realized that most of them are from Florida-based schools, probably because we are based in Florida. So instead of trying to get all the schools together in this app at once, we're looking to target school by school. So our large presence right now is in Gainesville at the University of Florida. So we hope to target, and especially schools who have good football teams. For example, at my institution, that seems to be students are not buying as much gear. So it's targeting those schools who have big football teams, good sports, and it seems like those are the schools who the students tend to buy more. So kind of focusing in on those different schools.
Really great job, Patricia. One of the best pitches I've seen at this level for a really long time. So really good. On the economics, like how long before you will operate in the black, you think, at 20, well, really 15%?
Great question. So right now with this 15 right now on our Instagram platform, we're still taking 20%. So we've been kind of leveraging that now. When we do move to the platform to kind of incentivize this more mentorship and the giving back sort of aspect, I'm definitely thinking it's going to be maybe about a couple of months. I think our key points, or especially let's say May 1st, are when we expect that a lot of these users will be on the platform buying and selling. So specifically targeting those key dates, May 1st being the day that everyone signs their letter, and but Michelle Obama's Retire campaign is where everyone wants to rep their gear, specifically honing in on those specific days and big football games where we're going to be generating a lot of that revenue.
And how are you going to deal with authentication of gear?
Great question. So this is something that has come about also in some of these other reselling applications that I use, such as Poshmark and Mercari, where there's currently a process where the users are able to keep the integrity of the application, go through the items and check, does this look authentic? Yes or no? So to have that peer-to-peer facilitation to keep the app safe and authentic, as well as having some moderators as well to kind of manage that. Because we know it's easy to buy a white shirt, print a school logo on it, and which is not completely legal, and that may be some trouble that we may run into, but something that we're very much aware of.
Hello, if there are no more questions from the judges, we can move on to our next one. Okay, cool. Thank you. Sent you credit? Oh, could you stop screen sharing? Thank you.
Perfect. I'll screen share. My name is Christopher Lamar, and I am a co-founder of Centric Credit. 113 million people within the US today either possess no credit history or bad credit history. Now, what does this mean exactly? This means these people are not only restricted from access to lines of credit, but things like access to home ownership, access to an education, access to certain job opportunities, and even access to building a business are all restricted. And it's no easy task to obtain a credit card as well. I know one of our co-founders, Jason, he's a Canadian immigrant, and he worked as a software engineer, making 100K plus. And he was rejected by every credit card company that he applied to. And he had to settle for a pretty lousy $500 secured card. Now, imagine a software engineer getting rejected by many credit card companies. Now, imagine all the people who don't make that income and how many opportunities they're rejected from. And that's what we're seeing throughout the market. So in order to combat this, while we can't necessarily revamp the credit system, we decided to create a solution to help empower anyone to build their credit so they can be open to financial opportunities. That's where Centric Credit comes in. Our job is to create the next generation of secured credit cards. We coin it a credit card, a combination of a credit and a debit card, representing the best of both worlds. On the front end, it acts just like your typical debit card. What you deposit is what you can spend. But on the back end, it's like a typical secured card. You're borrowing against your own funds, but we're taking out the security deposit. We think that security deposits are pretty prohibitive, and having a credit limit doesn't really make that much sense. So instead, if you deposit $500, that becomes your credit limit. $1,000, that becomes your credit limit. And then we have additional features. We have an app that helps to track purchases, as well as where you're spending your money, as well as your credit score. We help to gamify the experience by adding milestones and badges along the way. Then we allow P2P payments. And last thing, we allow P2P microlending. I mean, we've all been there. We've had our friends pay for our lunch or pay for our coffee, and then we Venmo them back that money at a later time. I mean, that is technically a loan, right? So why not report that to the credit bureaus to build your credit out? Our initial target market consists of the 8.6 million students that don't possess a credit card currently, which represents 43% of college students today. We chose this specific target market because as a college student, I know from my experience, I don't think colleges do a good enough job educating their students on how credit can affect people's entire lives. And many of these college students are eager to discover new ways to build credit or want to build their credit so they can satisfy their future. And many of these college students as well know people back home who need help with credit or need to build their credit as well. And then as for our team, we have a diverse set of talents. We've worked at financial institutions, top tech companies, and we've started our own startups in the past. The crazy thing about it is we are the customer that we're serving. Each one of us has come across a story in which the credit system has done us harm. For me personally, during my second semester of freshman year, I almost had to drop out of school just because of my family's credit history. I was almost unable to attain a loan, and my family had bad credit history and I had no credit history. If it weren't for my grandmother, I would have been pretty much out of luck. And we've seen these scenarios across our community, our respective communities, and across people within America in general. Currently, we're building out the alpha version of our product, which is slated to come within the next month. And an interesting thing about it is a few of the members within our team actually have never had a credit card before. So our alpha version of Essentia will be their first opportunity to build credit. Sentia wants to empower anyone the ability to build credit so they can open up new financial opportunities. Thank you.
Christopher, great stuff. I know this space really, really well. Curious about the credit side of the house. One of the biggest issues with lending money and providing credit is being able to establish the history of the particular individual and their ability to pay back the loan or to pay on time. So given that your target market is a very specific market that has not yet entered the workforce, does not really have a steady job or income, how do you plan to, how will your algorithm work, and how do you plan to, circumvent that?
I mean, so the way it works is it's pretty much a secured credit card. So for a secured credit card, you insert a security deposit, which acts as your credit limit. For us, we're pretty much eliminating the security deposit and we're adding a variable deposit. So it's the same concept. You're securing your funds with your own money. The user is borrowing against their own funds, but we're making sure that they don't go over the money that they deposit. So on the front end, it still acts as a debit card, while on the back end, they're borrowing against their own funds to build credit.
Very cool. And do you already have a credit card or debit card partner lined up?
Yeah, so we're working with Galileo on the back end, and Galileo helps to facilitate those relationships in terms of the technology as well as the banking partnerships to help us distribute the cards as well as have the processing on the back end.
But what about the lending side of the house and the lending facilities? Like, do you already have, some relationships teed up over there?
So what we're going to do for the alpha, we're going to pretty much provide our own reserves to help cover the costs of the lending, and then Galileo can help with facilitating that, and then we'll just have our own reserves cover those initial lending components.
And the algorithm, is somebody on your team, responsible for that? Like, how are you guys tackling that aspect? Because that's a very big piece of it.
Yeah, so we have 4 software engineers, 2 full stack, 2 regular software engineers, and they're the ones that are going to be mostly working on establishing the algorithm, establishing how the APIs work in terms of the relationships of, all right, how is it going to, how the overall workflow is going to look like in terms of the person building the credit. And then the data would get brought back to us through an API, through Galileo, and then we'd send that back to the credit bureaus.
Will credit bureaus accept the micro lending as valid transactions and loans?
The micro lending, that is interesting. So we're working with the credit bureaus right now. I'm going to have to, I guess, see what they say about that. For the card use case, that seems to be a go ahead, but the micro lending, obviously, there's a different process. So we're working on that currently.
The answer to that question is actually yes, they will. So the difficult part is you need to make sure you've got all the regulatory pieces in place. This is it's a great idea. It's one that is fraught with a lot of legal hurdles. So you want to make sure you go into it with eyes wide open.
Hey, Christopher, what's your plan? Obviously, as these people build credit, I would imagine the goal is allow them to have, different credit cards or offload to other financial institutions. Is that so, or is the long-term plan to keep them Sentia customers? You'll have a variety of financial products. How do you envision that future growth strategy looking like?
Yeah, for sure. And we definitely want to start providing other financial products later on. We want to essentially build that pipeline. Many Generation Z actually, I guess students, they don't necessarily trust today's banks because banks in the past haven't been really trustworthy. So what we're doing is creating a user-based experience. We're not charging We're not acting as the typical credit company. We're not charging them these outrageous fees, pretty much preventing them from building credit at all. So since we're establishing that trust early, we believe that we're able to build a pipeline when we come out with those future financial products. One product that I've been looking at is like a buy now, pay later type of function, similar to Klarna and Affirm. I know those have been pretty good products, and after doing some research, those products don't actually report positive credit history. So if we're able to do something like that while reporting those payments back as positive credit history, I think that would be a fan favorite, or something that would be beneficial to our customers in the future.
Okay, thank you, Century Credit. Next, we will have the People's Club.
Hey all. Okay, got my timer. Cool. Hi, my name is Brooke, and I'm the founder of the People's Club. So we all understand that having a sense of belonging and feeling like you're a part of a community is a really important part of mental health. So people who feel like they have community and they do belong have lower rates of depression, loneliness, and anxiety. And for me, in most of my life, I had that. So for example, when I was growing up and when I was in school, I was involved in lots of different activities, from dance to music to theater to camp. And at those activities, I saw my friends on a regular basis, and I had an opportunity to meet new people. But what happens in our society is that when you go to college and graduate, you essentially lose all of that community at the drop of a hat. You move to a new city to pursue a job, and it's really hard to build that community back up on your own. So if you're lucky, you might get it at work, or you might get it through a religious organization or through a sports league. But given the pandemic and what we're going through, and with rising rates of remote work, the opportunities to sort of build that community now are even more scarce than they've ever been before. And this is a problem that a lot of young people have today. So 30% of millennials say they feel lonely, either always or often, which is really high. And since the pandemic started in March, that number has increased by 25%. So this is something that we know is going on, but it's very stigmatized. It's something that a lot of people don't want to talk about, but it's something I experienced a bit when I was living in Chicago after college, and kind of trying to find my way. And so that's really been the inspiration for the People's Club. So the People's Club is on a mission to make cities feel smaller. We are a community of people who live currently starting in Chicago, and we host virtual events that span across health, wellness, art, culture, cooking, and community organizing. So for example, we've done really fun events like virtual cocktail making classes. We've done art classes. We've done more like meaningful events, like we did a meditation workshop or an event to understand different local ballot initiatives that were going to be on the ballot here in Chicago. We launched in September with 25 members and have grown to 50 members since then. And right now we have about $1,000 of monthly recurring revenue. We've also established a couple of key strategic partners. So we've established a relationship with Bacardi and Southern Glazers. They are sponsoring all of our cocktail making classes. And we've also established lots of partnerships with local partners, like in the health and wellness space, in the fitness space, and also local artists who have done some of our art classes. Our platform, the digital component, is built on top of something called Mighty Networks, which is essentially, the best way to describe it is like Squarespace for community-based businesses. So we have our own little private, it's almost like your own private Facebook, where everyone has a profile. You can chat with one another, post about different topics, post events. And so that's where we can all kind of talk and get to know each other when we're not on our virtual events. The mission for the People's Club is to grow and ultimately open a in-person space that would serve as a third space, a lounge or kind of a hangout area where our members can spend time, do our programming, and also just get to know one another. Right now, like I said, we're at like 25, 30 members, but the goal would be to get somewhere around 250, 300 members by September here in Chicago, and then start expanding to other cities. The benefit of starting this all in COVID is that I've pivoted completely digitally. So my costs are super low. All I really have to pay for is Zoom and this Mighty Networks platform, and then some additional costs for materials for programs every now and then. And just a little bit about me. I recently graduated with my MBA from the University of Michigan in May. And prior to that, I lived in Chicago for 5 years, so I definitely experienced this pain point. I was a teacher on the south side of Chicago, did the Teach for America program, and then worked in ed tech and got super excited about technology and entrepreneurship. I studied sociology in undergrad, so I've always been a real big nerd about how people create community. And so now I'm really combining everything that I've kind of done in my career with education, technology, and business and sociology to work on the People's Club. So thanks so much, and I am open to any of your questions.
Brooke, how big is your team?
Yeah, so right now, I am the main founder. I have 2 advisors that are from the University of Michigan that I've connected with, someone who is works at WeWork Corporate, who is in the architecture faculty, and then another faculty member who's the dean of the School of Art, Music, and Theater. So they're kind of my strategic advisors, but right now I'm solo founding.
How does this scale?
So this scales by essentially starting these digital communities in every city where young people live. So it's super easy to just start. I mean, essentially you find a community manager similar to like the way WeWork has scaled, finding people who really understand like what's the beat of the city and what partners to plug into. And then our national partners are going to be able to help us scale our programming nationally. So for example, Bacardi runs our cocktail making classes here in Chicago. They can just plop and do that anywhere in any city. And so my goal is to actually have about like a 60-40 national local partnership breakdown, where about 60% of my partners are national and they can scale the programming nationally, and then 40% are local, just to keep that hyper local feel.
And do you mind touching on the business model one more time, please?
Yeah, sure. So members pay a monthly membership fee. There's 3 pricing tiers. It's $30 a month for 1 person, $50 a month for 2. So for example, if a couple wants to sign up together, or roommates or siblings. And then there's also a $15 a month membership, which is kind of light for folks who just want to come like to 1 event per month. And right now, 80% of my programs have been at 0 cost. So they've either been sponsored by national brands, or they're seen as a marketing opportunity for local partners. So for example, a lot of the business or a lot of the fitness studios who've done classes for us, happy to just do a free class for us because it gives them exposure to our members who are also in the Chicago area. So kind of mutually beneficial in terms of that. And my goal is to only spend about 20% of my monthly revenue on my programming costs.
As you continue to expand to other cities, are you going to keep the networks between those cities so those people could interact then in person, like you were saying?
Yeah, absolutely. Like my big vision for this would be if you're a People's Club member and you live in Chicago and you're on a vacation and you go to Austin, you can hang out and go to the People's Club and meet with all the People's Club members there. And this is going to be the go-to place for people who are in their 20s and 30s living in cities to connect. And it could be an amazing networking opportunity in that sense as well.
How do you get new members?
Yes, we have a couple different customer acquisition strategies. I think the one that's worked really well in the beginning is marketing with like things to do blogs and newsletters in the city. So that's been a really great customer acquisition strategy initially. We also have an ambassador model where our members, refer new members, which is great for network effects. The whole thing becomes more fun when you have more friends that are coming to events with you. And then also going to young professional organizations. So for example, like young professional groups, like for women in Chicago, marketing, getting on their newsletters, also getting into the newsletters of residential buildings or other kind of like WeWork, getting in front of their members and offering it as like a benefit to being a WeWork member or other co-working spaces.
What separates this from other clubs?
So the way I see it broken down right now is the social clubs that exist, at least in Chicago, are all really exclusive and really fancy. So they're starting at, you know, $150, $200, $250 a month to access a super beautiful space, which is awesome, but that is not accessible and affordable to the average person. And I do have a couple of friends that have kind of dipped into that. And I've always felt like I wish I could afford something like that, especially when I was a teacher, you know, teaching on the South Side. I would have never been able to afford the clubs that exist currently in Chicago. Then on the other end of the spectrum, you have, you know, more low cost options like a YMCA or like a local community center. And in my opinion, those just haven't really been able to capture this younger audience. It's really more geared towards families or older people. So there aren't a lot of these kinds of clubs that are right in the demographic that I'm going after.
Okay, thank you. Next, we'll have Grekia on.
Hi, so today we'll be talking and presenting about our startup, Grekia. Just to talk a little bit about the team and how we started. The three of us have known each other for about 13 years now, and we've always wanted to work together since childhood. And being able to work together in Grekia has actually been a dream come true for us. So once the pandemic hit, we all came back to India. So we met regularly, and on one such day, we were debating how so many smart and accomplished students that we knew from India had decided against studying in the United States because of the heavy tuition costs associated with it. And we further realized that this problem of affordability existed even within our own universities, with a large number of students being homeless, housing, and food insecure. So for example, Amir is currently a first-generation senior. He's a low-income student studying at UIUC. His parents immigrated from Jordan, and his dad is a taxi driver. Amir's living conditions at home aren't ideal, as he has to sleep on a broken couch. But despite this, Amir has not given up. He transferred from community college to UIUC through his hard work. He's shown academic excellence and even made it to the dean's list. So he aspires to be a lawyer, but is currently struggling to pay for college through his own pocket, as his parents are not able to support him. Due to these financial difficulties, he can't devote his complete concentration to studies and has a lot more on his plate than any other average college student. So having spoken to so many such students drove us to find a solution for them, and we decided who better to approach than the alumni of our schools. So they would genuinely be motivated to help students from their alma mater succeed and would want to help alleviate any roadblocks along the way. So with that in mind, Grekia was born, and we decided we wanted to foster mentorship and reduce students' financial stress due to tuition by enabling sustainable alumni giving. So now Manav will talk about the problem we're solving.
Thank you. So like Amir, there are millions of students being affected by this problem. Since 1978, the cost of studying in the US has jumped by 4 times, double the increase of the US's GDP per capita, while accounting for inflation. Because of this gap between the increase in income and raised college fees, university is not as affordable as it used to be. This has led to almost 800,000 students dropping out of college every year due to financial stress itself, and 1 in 2 of them being food and/or housing insecure. Another 2 million college students are sleeping on the streets, in their cars, or abandoned buildings due to homelessness. On average, about 30% of the tuition of these students is currently covered by scholarships and grants. So to cover the remaining 70% of tuition, we would require $130 billion every single year. Ayushi will now talk about what we're doing at Grekia to solve this problem.
Thank you, Manu. So alumni are able to choose the students that they would like to contribute to or mentor on our platform, based on details in the student profile, such as need level, merit level, etc. Our platform uses AI and ML to make recommendations for the best student match possible. And alumni can contribute monthly, semesterly, or on a one-time basis to help students. We also charge a 3% transaction fee in order to sustain ourselves. All alumni receive appreciation letters from students and constant updates and receipts on how the process is going. On the mentorship side, alumni give 4 to 8 hours of their month to mentees to give professional and academic guidance to help students succeed in their respective fields. On the student side, the students on the platform are 100% verified and upload institutional documents for this purpose. We also have each of the students pledge to give back at least as much as they have received to other students in the future through a process of chain of giving. This is not about one-time giving. We keep adding more alumni to the base who will give through a chain. The chain of giving ensures that students who receive funds on the platform will sign this agreement, and an alumnus will have the ability to start this chain, which will have a multiplier effect and impact several students along the way. We also have an MVP, which Manav will walk you through right now.
Thank you so much, Ayushi. So currently we have a platform which we're using to facilitate the student-alumni relationship on our platform. We have spoken to universities to work on a complementary relationship towards a potential partnership with the universities. When we initially did an outreach, we got over 200 plus student applications for students who wanted to be on our platform. And alumni, and we've spoken to over 200 alumni across 3 universities to gauge their interest. So on a current platform, you can look at students, see their need level and merit level, which are metrics to better understand the student story in an effective manner, and even use filters to effectively choose the student that you are looking for in a personalized manner. And depending on the student you're interested in, all you need to do is click read more. You go onto the student's profile, learn more about them. You can decide to either mentor or donate to the students. Through this platform, we're able to reach out to hundreds and thousands of students and alumni across the United States. Thank you so much, and we'd be happy to answer any questions that you might have.
That was great. Some of the questions I do have kind of go around that university partnerships, especially with their alumni and their alumni who give in large amounts. What has been your response when you've approached universities at like even with your idea or trying to interact with their alumni?
That's a great question. So something to note though, at Grakia, we're trying to target a specific market, which is the small ticket donors. The donors who usually donate $500 to $1,000 on a semesterly basis. Currently at the university itself, the main focus is towards the big time donors, the donors who donate hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars. So when we did speak to the universities, I've had multiple calls at UIUC. They've loved the idea and want to learn more about us as well. Ayushi can now give you a little bit more information.
Yes, even when we spoke to USC, they really liked our idea and have expressed interest in partnering with us. And they have really been through there supporting us, introducing us to all the startup ecosystem around USC. We've had conversations with the dean as well, and they're really excited about this idea and want to support this.
Awesome. And then you were talking about how you were going to get student users on your platform and kind of just what the interest was there. And then what have you seen then on that end for the alumni?
The alumni been very interested. We've received a very positive response for them. So in the past few months, we've reached out to about 1,500 alumni from UIUC, UC Berkeley, and USC, including like the CEO of Tesla, the ex-dean of UIUC, and of these and we reached out to them through email and LinkedIn, and we received about a 13% alumni response rate. So of these email responses, we currently spoke to about 150 alumni. So through our conversations, we believe that alumni were willing to contribute somewhere between $500 to $1,000 in contributions on an yearly basis. So that's and they were very excited about the personalization aspect and being able to contribute directly to a student in need.
Awesome, thank you.
Who are your competitors?
That's a great question. So in terms of competitors, the direct competition, obviously, which might seem like competition to a lot of people, is the university's endowment fund, but we don't perceive them as competition, and nor do the university. Right now itself, we're working on a potential partnership with the university. The next competitor that comes in sight for us is GoFundMe. GoFundMe has a similar platform in terms of crowdfunding for students' education, but the difference is that it's not personalized for student education, non-alumni relationship, and we bring the alumni onto our platform through marketing. So that's where the difference comes in.
Just to add to that, alumni are not able to especially personalize at endowment funds because in some schools you need to give at least $100,000 to even give some criteria to donate to students, whereas in other schools you can't even give criteria to say which students you want your funds to go to.
And we're also providing mentorship to these students, which we believe is a differentiating factor as well.
Has anybody given money through your platform yet?
So yeah, that's a great question. So not yet. So we actually officially launched last week itself, but in the past, the 200 calls that we had, we've got commitments from alumni that we've spoken to who are interested on signing up as soon as we launch. And we're reaching out to alumni right now as we're speaking and getting them on board. We've had close to 30 signups on our platform already in terms of alumni, and we're hoping to grow that. And we have close to $5,000 in commitment from alumni at this point of time.
And then another question I do have, you said that your average alumni might, or you're hoping that they would donate $500 to $1,000 a year. If you are looking for larger donors, is there a reason that you wouldn't look towards being a nonprofit, a 501c3, to have those donations be tax exempt?
Yeah, so the reason we aren't a 501c3 exempt at the moment is because we provide direct giving for the students on the platform. And because of that major reason, the alumni can't receive tax benefits because of the legal structure that we're in and because it's earmarked for a specific student. But what we are trying to do in our future expansion in a couple of months is that we're creating a nonprofit where we're going to create a fund. So if you're interested in giving to a student, let's say you want to give to a UI/UC engineering student, you can tell us the criteria and we'll give it to that student and let you know who we gave it to. So this is the alternative we're going to be providing to alumni who want to donate larger amounts of money and still get the tax benefit.
All right, cool. That's our time. Thank you to Great Kia. Now we have Bubbles up next.
Thanks for having us, guys. Before we begin, well, we're Bubbles, and before we begin, we wanted to give you a blast into the past. So to all those non-Gen Zers out there, how many of you remember this sensational sound?
When we went to this year's UI/UC Virtual Career Fair, we expected to meet world-class companies on a world-class platform. Instead, we got Curry Eco, which felt like an instant messenger from the 90s. We weren't even born in the 90s. Virtual events at universities and even at Forge right now are a nightmare, and we thought we could do better, which is why we introduced to you Bubbles, float into your next meeting. So we analyzed 3 other platforms used for virtual events. So firstly, we have Curry Eco, which was actually used for the UI/UC Virtual Career Fair. We all had a nightmare of an experience standing in those virtual lines, not knowing if or when we'd even get to speak with recruiters. We found that the service is impersonal, not easy to understand, and not human-centered. And then we have Brazen, and it fixes a lot of Curry Eco's issues, but it's way more costly for the same control. For example, every person attending is a cost, every text channel is a cost, everything is a cost. And then we have Zor, which uses AI to push you to different chat rooms with different recruiters. And the thing is, it uses impersonal AI and it's text boxes within text boxes, and it's just so hard to keep up with. And so it wasn't just UI/UC that operated a platform like Career Eco. Here's just a small subset out of the 30% of all national universities that operated a platform like Career Eco. And so the problem that we found out was that universities need effective tools for career fairs and other large events. However, current solutions are impersonal, expensive, and hard to use.
Hey guys, so I'm back, and I just wanted to give you a brief intro to what Bubbles really is. So Bubbles, we really pride ourselves on being a modern UI for the modern user. We're built directly on top of Zoom. So if you're in the career fair use case, for instance, immediately every attendee would receive what's known as a bubble board, and it looks similar to this. So all of the booths here are companies, and if I want to talk to an Amazon recruiter, I would click on the Amazon bubble, and over here I see a Zoom meeting, and I can talk to this person, right? And our hallmark feature really is bubble chats, which you see on the right, which allows you to be in 2 places at once virtually. So I can click on any one of these given icons here of other bubbles to launch chats with any of the other publicly available bubbles at my online event. And we integrate directly with Google Suite, so we don't save any of your data. You can take notes very easily. And if you're a recruiter, you get a lot of insights. You can mark meetings for one-on-one only. You can set it to only be a resume drop type of bubble. And we use intelligent machine learning and analytics to provide you with a really cool dashboard that helps you act on insights and make your bubble more attractive to those who come to your meetings. And our company promise really is that we will prioritize transparency and never compromise on your privacy, because we understand in a data-driven world, data should be the right of people. And with that, I'd like to pass it back to Vijay to talk about our business model.
So our business model right now is still pretty early, but there are a few things that I'd like to go over. The first is that we plan to have a free tier called our bronze tier, which would be free for smaller users and smaller companies, but also provide larger users and for larger use cases, a way to demo our product and understand what we are. Going on to our silver tier, this is again for smaller users and smaller to medium companies, but it would provide access to a bubble board without giving as many insights or analytics. Our bronze and platinum tiers, our gold and platinum tiers are made for much larger use cases, such as universities, who already pay thousands, up to $15,000 for every single event and career fair, even if it's only virtual. These use cases would be even more B2B focused and include more enhanced insights, more users, and more data analytics. Going on to our cost model, we found that our initial software and services costs before we make any sales would be about $700. After we make our first sale, with incorporation, accounting, tax, and legal fees, we'd have to pay up to $3,000 after our first sale on top of any other sort of software costs, which would come with an increased amount of usage for our product. With that, I'll pass it off to Suyesh to talk a little bit about our market size.
So we have 1,300 universities to potentially expand to. And in 2018, 16.6% of students in the US are enrolled in fully online education, and that trend is only rising. Coming to our roadmap, we start off by winning the 54 Startup Weekend. And after Forge, we plan on getting on the iVenture Accelerator with a product release planned for this January. We'll demo our product at the large events, expand to other universities, and integrate with not only Zoom, but with other services like Google Meet. And eventually, the highlight is to introduce our very own predictive analytics.
And lastly, I'd like to give you a briefing about Bubbles in a little bit more detail. So what I'd like to really show you guys is that we are not a career fair company. We work with many different use cases, including a classroom setting where a teacher might want to monitor or proctor an exam. A telehealth practitioner might want to view her patients at a glance and easily navigate through these meetings and gain some insights, and so much more. So really, at the core, what Bubbles is really trying to help you do is give you the most value for your time. So in any given meeting, you get so many insights like the estimated wait time, the waiting time in a queue, the number of people inside, and so much more. And with that, I'll conclude our presentation and open it up to any questions. Thank you so much.
Were those screenshots that we saw, were those like actually from the app? Do you have the app live right now?
The app is in development. We're scheduled to release a production release in January of 2021. But this is actually what the dashboard would look like if you're wondering. This is the live dashboard. It's running on a server on my machine. But in terms of the prototype itself, in the app, this is what the dashboard would look like right here. So you get a lot of different things like the number of attendees, who's in your meeting, and we even have a new feature called the Bubble, here it is, the Bubble Conversation Rating. So we use intelligent algorithms and machine learning that we've personally designed to rate bubbles with a particular engagement of conversation rating, so that even before you enter a meeting, you know, like how you get a percentage or a certain idea of how engaging that bubble is. So you can click on it because, you know, maybe it has a high rating or something like that. So
how do you measure engagement?
Right. So, you know, one of the basic things we do to measure engagement is you can notice how in our Zoom meeting right now, every time someone talks, there's a green highlight on our square, right? So we count the number of times that square is changing, and based on that and some other base classifiers that we're using to justify a certain number for what an engaging conversation is, we're able to actually generate a valuable percentage that can tell you how engaging a particular bubble meeting is, how it is. Yeah.
What sets you apart from your competitors?
What sets us apart is that we are built in a blue ocean market, which means our competition is really less right now because we are not competing directly with someone with a behemoth like Zoom or FaceTime or WebEx. In fact, we're built directly on top of Zoom. So we tap directly into their customer base and we don't have to garner our own customer base. Our only known competitor up to date is what you might have already seen here in Forge, which is Gather.town. They have a similar sort of setup, except it's actually significantly different because you're in a sort of town setting where you're like moving around like you're in a sort of Pokemon game. However, ours is more geared toward like a professional large scale environment setting where you just want to have an ease of use where you can just easily navigate through bubbles and, you know, take a couple notes, maybe know how much the wait time is and come back to this bubble, for instance, things like that.
I should also add that there are some more use case specific type competitors. So of course we found it after our career fair. So Career Eco would be technically a competitor, but the fact is that we plan on making our service a lot more adaptable than all those other services. So in terms of a direct competitor towards our entire business, it's a little bit more nuanced, but in terms of specific industries, there are some competitors such as Hopin, but even then we do have lower prices and we're built completely differently.
What happens to your market size in a post-COVID world?
Right, so that's a great question we get a lot. In a post-COVID world, well, just to preface that question, after COVID is over, we definitely do not expect it to go back to the way the world might have been in 2017 or 2015. Already we're seeing the benefits of a work from home setting, even if it's not advisable. For example, a number of companies like Facebook, Microsoft, HP have already placed commitments to make a remote to work life setting present for the next 5 years or even forever, right? So those guys are going to be huge customers for us. And even if that was not there at all, we're built on top of Zoom. And Zoom was popular. It just got more popular with COVID, but it was still presently popular back in 2017 in a pre-COVID era. So as long as something like Zoom or FaceTime or WebEx is profitable, we're also a profitable venture.
I know a lot of your examples then were for like a career fair style, and right now we're looking at kind of like the user for a more, I guess, doctor setting. Can you kind of go through why they would want to use those engagements similar to what a career fair would, with like the different people talking or things like that? Like what makes it different from their platforms that they use right now?
Sure, yeah. So what I've just gone through and explained is Career Eco versus our thing for our bubble career fair template. However, when we did customer discovery, we realized this could be applicable to a number of use cases. For example, I recently spoke with my aunt, who's a physician here at Washington Hospital, and she said the problem with the way they conduct these kinds of patient telehealth conferences right now is they're just given a huge set of apps and a bunch of links, and it's very hard to navigate, and there's a lot of processing involved and a lot of bureaucratic processes involved. So she said what she would like is some sort of like cohesive setting where she can just see all of her patients at a glance and easily navigate through meetings with them. And to that end, that's exactly what this bubble board you see here is intended to do. I should be able to click on any one of these people here and just start up a meeting with them. And moreover, you get a lot of data insights about these people. You can click on these things like order labs or make notes about them. So we're really trying to make the telehealth experience something easier so that doctors can focus on what's important, like taking care of their patients and not learning how to use 50 apps.
Cool. Thank you, Bubbles. That concludes our pitching session. Please reconvene at 4:45 where the judges will make their announcements for the top 3 startups for this event. Thank you for coming, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you. It is also past 4:45 right now.
Sorry, my bad. 5:45. Thank you for the clarification.
Yeah, and we'll just have our bubbles like links and everything in the description if you're interested. So feel free. Thank you guys.
What did you say? 525?
Rohan, Sayash, if you guys could leave the call real quick.
Oh yeah, sorry about that for sure.
Mhm. Louise.
Just a reminder, this is still being live streamed, so if we want to do any discussion, we can do it in another chat.
Yeah.
Can everyone hear me? Hi everyone, welcome. That's better. Hi everyone, I'm Maxwell, and I am thrilled to be your Forge 2020 co-director. Traditionally, Forge has been a Midwestern startup conference, but because of the pandemic, we've had the opportunity to bring in startups and mentors from all over the country. We've got a great event planned for you today, and to tell you more about it is my co-director, Amog.
Hi everyone, my name's Amog, and I'm your other co-director for Forge 2020. Being online this year, we're able to bring you a lot of cool new events that we just haven't been able to do in previous years. With that, I also want to introduce David.
Thanks, Amog. Hey everybody, I'm David, President of Founders. Since 2018, Forge has been continuing to grow and spotlight student entrepreneurship in the Midwest. While we unfortunately cannot be together this year, we are still encouraging you to keep your cameras on. There are some incredibly impactful and powerful people, not just on the speakers and mentor side, but you yourselves, and we don't want you to miss a thing. And now to talk more about sponsorships and prizes, our treasurer, Michael.
Thanks, David. I'm Michael, the treasurer of Founders. This year, we're really excited to be able to provide the top 3 startup finalists with $1,000 of AWS credits each, thanks to our sponsor, OpenScout. And with the help of Think Chicago, we've been able to bring to you 20 mentors, 7 panelists, and 2 amazing speakers to Forge. We're extremely lucky to have some of the most experienced industry leaders in the Midwest and from around the country. Here's some information that'll make your Forge experience that much better. Notion is our all-inclusive guide for Forge, where you can find individual live event updates as well as a full event schedule. Slack is our main form of communication. Visit the general channel often for live updates and Zoom links. Feel free to discuss in the discussion channel during panels and speeches. And don't be afraid to reach out to the help channel whenever you need help from a Founders member. And finally, don't forget to follow Founders Instagram for live event updates and exclusive content.
Awesome. So we have a great schedule ahead of us today. Right after this, you're going to be hearing from our keynote speakers, Lucy, the co-founder of Scale AI, and Peter, the co-founder of Draftfit. After that, we're going to be having our lunch break where you guys can talk with other Forge participants on GatherTown. After that, we're going to be having our VC panel where you guys are going to be hearing from some of Chicago's top investors. I want to remind you guys to DM me any questions you might want to ask these panelists. Afterwards, we're going to be having another networking session with other Forge participants on Glimpse. And you guys are finally going to be having your mentoring sessions with our awesome staff.
And with that, we'd like to officially welcome you to Forge 2020.
Well.
Hi guys, and welcome back to Forge 2020 Day 2. We hope you guys had an awesome Day 1, because there's even more cool events happening today. We're first going to kick it off with the underrepresented panel. I want to remind you guys to DM any specific questions you want to ask the panelists to Max. Following, we're going to have a quick lunch break at 12:15.
At 12:45, startup pitching will kick off. During this time, participants will have the chance to visit other startups' one-pager boards and join their Zoom meeting. In a Zoom meeting, you can network and ask questions for other startups. During your scheduled pitching times, judges will come by to evaluate your pitches and later decide who moves on to the final round. At 4 p.m., the live stream will start, where the top 6 startups get to pitch for a chance to win $1,000 in AWS credits. For now, though, we would like to welcome our underrepresented founders panel. everyone, I'm Maxwell, one of your co-directors for Forge 2020. We've had a great event so far. We've heard amazing speeches from Lucy Guo and Peter Pekarczyk, as well as a fantastic VC panel. Startups and participants had the opportunity to network with Glimpse and GatherTown, as well as receive world-class mentoring from industry professionals.
Hi everyone, David again. Thanks to our staff and you, the participants, we've been able to make this Forge just as exciting and impactful as always. We're going to be live streaming the pitching event, so if you're able, please keep your cameras on to keep the excitement going.
Hi everyone. In case you missed me yesterday, I'm Michael, the treasurer of Founders. We just wanted to give another special thanks to our two sponsors, Think Chicago and Open Scout, as well as our mentors, judges, panelists, and speakers for taking the time out of their weekend to help Forge and its mission.
Today, we kicked off the event hearing about some of the amazing experiences from our underrepresented founders panel. Then we jumped straight into the pitching competition, hearing from over 20 of the nation's top collegiate startups. Finally, you all are going to be hearing from the best of the best. We're going to be having 6 of the competition's top startups pitching for over $3,000 in total prizes, and to impress our industry-leading connections here at Forge. Without further ado, let the pitching begin.
Can everyone hear me? Hi everyone, welcome. That's better. Hi everyone, I'm Maxwell, and I am thrilled to be your Forge 2020 co-director. Traditionally, Forge has been a Midwestern startup conference, but because of the pandemic, we've had the opportunity to bring in startups and mentors from all over the country. We've got a great event planned for you today, and to tell you more about it is my co-director, Amog.
Hi everyone, my name's Amog, and I'm your other co-director for Forge 2020. Being online this year, we're able to bring you a lot of cool new events that we just haven't been able to do in previous years. With that, I also want to introduce David.
Thanks, Amog. Hey everybody, I'm David, president of Founders. Since 2018, Forge has been continuing to grow and spotlight student entrepreneurship in the Midwest. While we unfortunately cannot be together this year, we're still encouraging you to keep your cameras on. There are some incredibly impactful and powerful people, not just on the speakers and mentor side, but you yourselves, and we don't want you to miss a thing. And now to talk more about sponsorships and prizes, our treasurer, Michael.
Thanks, David. I'm Michael, the treasurer of Founders. This year, we're really excited to be able to provide the top 3 startup finalists with $1,000 of AWS credits each, thanks to our sponsor, Open Scout. And with the help of Think Chicago, we've been able to bring to you 20 mentors, 7 panelists, and 2 amazing speakers to Forge. We're extremely lucky to have some of the most experienced industry leaders in the Midwest and from around the country. Here's some information that'll make your Forge experience that much better. Notion is our all-inclusive guide for Forge, where you can find individual live event updates as well as a full event schedule. Slack is our main form of communication. Visit the general channel often for live updates and Zoom links. Feel free to discuss in the discussion channel during panels and speeches. And don't be afraid to reach out to the help channel whenever you need help from a Founders member. And finally, don't forget to follow Founders Instagram for live event updates and exclusive content.
Awesome. So we have a great schedule ahead of us today. Right after this, you're going to be hearing from our keynote speakers, Lucy, the co-founder of Scale AI, and Peter, the co-founder of Draftfit. After that, we're going to be having our lunch break where you guys can talk with other Forge participants on GatherTown. After that, we're going to be having our VC panel where you guys are going to be hearing from some of Chicago's top investors. I want to remind you guys to DM me any questions you might want to ask these panelists. Afterwards, we're going to be having another networking session with other Forge participants on Glimpse. And you guys are finally going to be having your mentoring sessions with our awesome staff.
And with that, we'd like to officially welcome you to Forge 2020.
guys, and welcome back to Forge 2020 Day 2. We hope you guys had an awesome day 1, because there's even more cool events happening today. But we're first going to kick it off with the underrepresented panel. I want to remind you guys to DM any specific questions you want to ask the panelists to Max. Following, we're going to have a quick lunch break at 12:15.
At 12:45, startup pitching will kick off. During this time, participants will have the chance to visit other startups' one-pager boards and join their Zoom meeting. In a Zoom meeting, you can network and ask questions for other startups. During your scheduled pitching times, judges will come by to evaluate your pitches and later decide who moves on to the final round. At 4 p.m., the live stream will start, where the top 6 startups get to pitch for a chance to win $1,000 in AWS credits. For now, though, we would like to welcome our underrepresented founders panel. Great event so far. We've heard amazing speeches from Lucy Guo and Peter Pekarczyk, as well as a fantastic VC panel. Startups and participants had the opportunity to network with Glimpse and GatherTown, as well as receive world-class mentoring from industry professionals.
Hi everyone, David again. Thanks to our staff and you, the participants, we've been able to make this Forge just as exciting and impactful as always. We're going to be live streaming the pitching event, so if you're able, please keep your cameras on to keep the excitement going.
Hi everyone. In case you missed me yesterday, I'm Michael, the treasurer of Founders. We just wanted to give another special thanks to our 2 sponsors, Think Chicago and Open Scout, as well as our mentors, judges, panelists, and speakers for taking the time out of their weekend to help Forge and its mission.
Today, we kicked off the event hearing about some of the amazing experiences from our underrepresented founders panel. Then we jumped straight into the pitching competition, hearing from over 20 of the nation's top collegiate startups. Finally, you all are going to be hearing from the best of the best. We're going to be having 6 of the competition's top startups pitching for over $3,000 in total prizes, and to impress our industry-leading connections here at Forge. Without further ado, let the pitching begin.
Can everyone hear me? Hi everyone, welcome. That's better. Hi everyone, I'm Maxwell, and I am thrilled to be your Forge 2020 co-director. Traditionally, Forge has been a Midwestern startup conference, but because of the pandemic, we've had the opportunity to bring in startups and mentors from all over the country. We've got a great event planned for you today, and to tell you more about it is my co-director, Amog.
Hi everyone, my name's Amog, and I'm your other co-director for Forge 2020. Being online this year, we're able to bring you a lot of cool new events that we just haven't been able to do in previous years. With that, I also want to introduce David.
Thanks, Amog. Hey everybody, I'm David, president of Founders. Since 2018, Forge has been continuing to grow and spotlight student entrepreneurship in the Midwest. While we unfortunately cannot be together this year, we're still encouraging you to keep your cameras on. There are some incredibly impactful and powerful people, not just on the speakers and mentor side, but you yourselves, and we don't want you to miss a thing. And now to talk more about sponsorships and prizes, our treasurer, Michael.
Thanks, David. I'm Michael, the treasurer of Founders. This year, we're really excited to be able to provide the top 3 startup finalists with $1,000 of AWS credits each, thanks to our sponsor, Open Scout. And with the help of Think Chicago, we've been able to bring to you 20 mentors, 7 panelists, and 2 amazing speakers to Forge. We're extremely lucky to have some of the most experienced industry leaders in the Midwest and from around the country. Here's some information that'll make your Forge experience that much better. Notion is our all-inclusive guide for Forge, where you can find individual live event updates as well as a full event schedule. Slack is our main form of communication. Visit the general channel often for live updates and Zoom links. Feel free to discuss in the discussion channel during panels and speeches. And don't be afraid to reach out to the help channel whenever you need help from a Founders member. And finally, don't forget to follow Founders Instagram for live event updates and exclusive content.
Awesome. So we have a great schedule ahead of us today. Right after this, you're going to be hearing from our keynote speakers, Lucy, the co-founder of Scale AI, and Peter, the co-founder of Draftbit. After that, we're going to be having our lunch break where you guys can talk with other Forge participants on GatherTown. After that, we're going to be having our VC panel where you guys are going to be hearing from some of Chicago's top investors. I want to remind you guys to DM me any questions you might want to ask these panelists. Afterwards, we're going to be having another networking session with other Forge participants on Glimpse. And you guys are finally going to be having your mentoring sessions with our awesome staff.
And with that, we'd like to officially welcome you to Forge 2020.
Well.
Hi guys, and welcome back to Forge 2020 Day 2. We hope you guys had an awesome Day 1, because there's even more cool events happening today. But we're first going to kick it off with the underrepresented panel. I want to remind you guys to DM any specific questions you want to ask the panelists to Max. Following, we're going to have a quick lunch break at 12:15.
At 12:45, startup pitching will kick off. During this time, participants will have a chance to visit other startups' one-pager boards and join their Zoom meeting. In a Zoom meeting, you can network and ask questions for other startups. During your scheduled pitching times, judges will come by to evaluate your pitches and later decide who moves on to the final round. At 4 p.m., the live stream will start, where the top 6 startups get to pitch for a chance to win $1,000 in AWS credits. For now, though, we would like to welcome our underrepresented founders panel. Hey everyone, I'm Maxwell, one of your co-directors for Forge 2020. We've had a great event so far. We've heard amazing speeches from Lucy Guo and Peter Pekarczyk, as well as a fantastic VC panel. Startups and participants had the opportunity to network with Glimpse and GatherTown, as well as receive world-class mentoring from industry professionals.
Hi everyone, David again. Thanks to our staff and you, the participants, we've been able to make this Forge just as exciting and impactful as always. We're going to be live streaming the pitching event, so if you're able, please keep your cameras on to keep the excitement going.
Hi everyone. In case you missed me yesterday, I'm Michael, the treasurer of Founders. We just wanted to give another special thanks to our 2 sponsors, Think Chicago and Open Scout, as well as our mentors, judges, panelists, and speakers for taking the time out of their weekend to help Forge and its mission.
Today, we kicked off the event hearing about some of the amazing experiences from our underrepresented founders panel. Then we jumped straight into the pitching competition, hearing from over 20 of the nation's top collegiate startups. Finally, you all are going to be hearing from the best of the best. We're going to be having 6 of the competition's top startups pitching for over $3,000 in total prizes, and to impress our industry-leading connections here at Forge. Without further ado, let the pitching begin.
Can everyone hear me? Hi, everyone. Welcome. That's better. Hi, everyone. I'm Maxwell, and I am thrilled to be your Forge 2020 co-director. Traditionally, Forge has been a Midwestern startup conference, but because of the pandemic, we've had the opportunity to bring in startups
Everyone, welcome back. Keep in mind that this is still being live streamed, so it would be nice to have your cameras on. So before we announce the winners for Forge 2020, please fill out, there will be a mentorship feedback form sent out in general channel in Slack so we can continue bringing you amazing mentors for next year. Special thanks to all the mentors, judges, speakers, and panelists, and you, the individuals, for making this one of the most successful and largest Forges ever. So now, without further ado, I would like the judges to go ahead and announce the winners. Oh, wait. Oh, the judges are still joining in right now. All right. Thanks for joining us, judges. Please go ahead and announce the winners.
Hey everyone, thank you so much for all your pitches. We're super excited to announce the winners. The first winner of today is Jem. We were so excited about your pitch and also about transitioning from your app and your Apple Watch app into a physical device that will be more accessible for all. I'm so excited to continue to watch your journey as well, and we were very impressed with your items. So super excited, congrats.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So we have another winner, College Thrifts. So we all really liked your presentation. We think you're finding a really interesting niche within the fashion market and the just resale clothing market. We also really liked that you're already doing it, that you've got that Instagram account that's selling all those clothes and already making it happen.
Thank you.
Okay, third and last but not least, we really liked Gray Kia. So congratulations. We really thought that your idea was awesome, incredible. You had a nice platform play going on. And we felt the one thing would be, for you to figure out how we were going to attract more alumni, because our experience tells us you may run into some interesting roadblocks on that side. But that said, everything else we really liked and enjoyed. And, one of our favorite parts was you guys have known each other for 13 years and, you're not at each other's throats yet. So congratulations. There is one honorable mention. I think all of us really liked the idea that Centra Credit had. We felt that it was a really interesting space, solving a true unmet need, specifically to college students. We felt that, there's always, more you could do on that front to help out folks who are struggling with, their own personal financial credit. And we hope to see more, of you guys in the future and seeing what you particularly zone in on. And, we're excited to see what that holds. And congratulations to our 3 winners.
All right. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for coming to Forge, and we hope to see you again here next year. Somebody screen recording this. Just keep waiting.
I had a quick